You are clearly over the property line. This is a violation of Section 3, subsection 4B. Move this instant or face the consequences.
At 8:16 a.m. on June 15, 2024, I walked outside with a box of cupcakes and heard plastic rattling on asphalt like a cheap drumline. The Cul De Sac was blocked. Orange cones. A saggy strip of caution tape. Even a folding chair in the middle like someone was guarding a kingdom. My kids' birthday balloons bobbed against my wrist, and the smell of hot coffee from our kitchen mixed with that sharp tar smell you get when the sun starts baking the street. Then I saw her at the center of it all, arms crossed, smiling like she just won. 2 minutes later I was living the sentence I didn't know I'd ever say out loud. Karen seized my Cul De Sac over a birthday party. Then I filed the escrow file with the measuring wheel. It's part of the public street. Not hers. She waved a clipboard and told the first minivan that rolled in to turn around. She said the Cul De Sac was reserved for quiet enjoyment and I was violating community rules. I said it's a birthday party, not a parade. She pointed at the cones like they were holy objects and said, "This is private property, and I have the paperwork." I tried to reason like a normal adult who still believes in words. I walked up slow and said, "Hey, can we talk?" She snapped her finger toward my driveway and said, "Take your guests inside. No parking. No gathering." I asked where she got the idea she owned the road. She tilted her head and said, "It's in the deed." I said, "Which deed?" She said, "Mine, and the HOA knows." 2 neighbors cracked their doors and peeked out, then quickly looked away when I noticed them. One guy stepped back behind his blinds like he was hiding from a tornado. At 9:05 a.m., I went to the clubhouse office with my phone in my hand and my kids' party playlist still paused. The board rep at the desk kept her voice soft, like she was talking to a barking dog. She said the HOA could regulate common areas. I said this is a city street. She slid a violation notice toward me and said I owed $300 for unauthorized event use. No one would meet my eyes. I asked for the rule in writing. She said, "Submit a request." I asked for a copy of this paperwork. She said, "It's complicated." I drove home with my jaw clenched so hard it hurt. Then I sat on my porch and watched my kids stare at the blocked road like it was a canceled dream. That did something to me. Not rage. Focus. I told myself, proper channels only. No yelling. No touching her cones. Just facts. I opened my closing documents from when I bought the house and found the thick escrow packet I never thought I'd need again. I remembered the title company lady saying, "This has your plat, your easements, everything." At the time, I nodded and shoved it in a drawer. Now it felt like a weapon made of paper. On June 17, 2024, I went downtown to the city records counter where the air smells like old carpet and printer ink. I asked for the street dedication map for my neighborhood and any recorded easements tied to the Cul De Sac. The clerk stamped a packet and slid it under the glass, and the file landed with 63 pages. I thanked her, because being polite costs nothing, and then I read every page in my car with the AC blasting. The Cul De Sac was dedicated as public right-of-way. The HOA could manage landscaping, sure, but it could not block access or claim ownership. That night I laid everything out on my dining table like a tiny courtroom. I lined up photos, emails, and call logs in a binder. I printed the plat map. I highlighted the right-of-way line with a pale marker that didn't look dramatic, just clear. Then I borrowed a measuring wheel from a neighbor who does landscaping and knows how to stay out of mess until it matters. I rolled it down my driveway once just to make sure it clicked right. Timeline item 1 June 15 at 8:16 a.m. cones placed and guests turned away. I wrote that line and circled it, then kept moving. On June 22, 2024, I invited my kids' friends again, quietly, and I also emailed the HOA board that I would be using the Cul De Sac within the public right-of-way for normal residential gathering. No threats. Just notice. At 3:40 p.m., the woman with the clipboard showed up like she was late to a play. She planted herself by the cones again and said, "I already told you. This is mine." I held my binder against my chest and said, "Okay. Then let's measure it together." Her smile twitched. I rolled the measuring wheel from the curb to the center, click click click, while she kept pointing like her finger was a siren. I stopped where the plat showed the right-of-way edge and held up the printed map, turned so it faced her, not the crowd. No shouting. Just calm. She tried to snatch at it and I stepped back. A couple of parents stood near their cars, unsure, then started pulling out phones. One neighbor across the circle stepped outside and said, "Are we really doing this over a birthday party?" The clipboard lady snapped, "This is HOA business." The neighbor replied, "It's a street. Relax." The public reaction hit like popcorn. Quick. Loud. Everywhere. Someone whispered, "She's been doing this for months." Another person said, "I got yelled at for parking here once." A dad muttered, "My kid is literally holding a gift bag." A teen said, "I'm filming, just in case." The group chat started buzzing so fast my watch kept lighting up. Is she blocking the road again? He has paperwork. Call the city. This is embarrassing. I heard a woman near the mailbox say, "She acts like she's the mayor." Another neighbor said, "No, mayors have elections." A guy laughed once, sharp and nervous, like he didn't mean to. At 4:12 p.m., a city traffic officer pulled in, not flying in, just normal, because one of the parents had called about an obstruction. He walked over, looked at the cones, and asked who put them there. The clipboard lady stepped forward fast and said, "I did. Private community rules." The officer asked, "Is this a public street?" I handed him the dedication page from the file, the one with the map and the stamp. He looked it over, then nodded like a puzzle piece clicked. He explained it in plain words: an HOA can't block a public right-of-way without a permit, and you can't claim ownership by waiving a deed that doesn't apply to the road. Patterns of false reports can be prosecuted. Then he asked her for her paperwork. She lifted her clipboard. The sheet was blank. After the officer spoke, the whole Cul De Sac felt different, like the air got lighter. People stopped shrinking. Parents who had been half-turned toward their cars came back and stood in a loose line, shoulders up, chins higher. Someone started recording openly, not hiding their phone anymore. The board rep, who had shown up late and quiet, suddenly looked small, like she didn't know where to put her hands. The clipboard lady kept talking, but her words didn't land. They floated and died. You could see her losing oxygen in real time, because attention was her fuel and proof was taking it away. Even the neighbors who usually stay silent started asking questions out loud, slow and clear, the kind that don't let a bully spin. The next week was the aftermath, and it wasn't loud. It was worse for her. It was calm. The city sent a written notice to the HOA about obstructing the roadway, and the board had to respond. The fines weren't huge, but the embarrassment was. The HOA refunded my $300 and dropped 2 other event use notices they had been handing out like candy. People started requesting meeting minutes. People started showing up to meetings with folders. The spell was gone. You could feel it in small things: neighbors waving again, kids chalking the curb without fear, cars parking like normal without anyone flinching at a clipboard. By July 10, 2024, the board reorganized, which is their fancy word for "we can't keep pretending." The clipboard lady stopped posting in the community app. The board rep actually answered emails with full sentences. My kid's rescheduled party happened at 5:30 p.m. on a warm Saturday, and the Cul De Sac looked like it should have all along: kids running, parents chatting, music low, someone grilling burgers, chalk dust on the asphalt. I sat on my front step with my binder on my lap for a minute, looked at the stamped page, and then closed it like a book I hope to never open again. If you enjoyed this, hit like, subscribe, and share. Was the HOA wrong? Drop a comment.